I lied about getting a degree. And now I'm too deep in. I live in a European country. A normal bachelor's degree takes 6 semesters, 3 years. It's free, besides administration fees, you pay quarterly. And I haven't paid the fees for the next semester and am about to get kicked out. When it came to getting into a course, I didn't get into anything I wanted because my grades were that terrible. It's actually a secret in itself because everyone assumed my grades were top, because I don't belong to the dump kind, I guess. I was always a child prodigy, got into school 2 years earlier than normal and skipped a class. But by the time I became a teenager, I was deeply depressed and had a lot of social anxiety, to the point that simple interactions were too much to handle for me. I would never go to school, and it reflected in my grades. They weren't bad, but they also ain't that good either. I actually had to redo my final year. My teenage self didn't have many options, so she picked the most random subject that didn't require numerous clauses and ended up in experimental physics. I would have walked out the first day, if I didn't meet some of my school friends. We became study buddies and everything went fine until my depressions kicked in. I got put into a psychiatric ward for half a year, and once I got back they moved on, and I didn't pass one exam. It had been over 6 years ago, and I never bounced back. I start feeling big imposter syndrome and start telling myself that I'm not smart enough to do that. The fact that we were only 4 girls at the beginning and the others had already dipped out didn't help my case. Because it left me isolated and with some weird kind of pride, that I needed to make it, in this man-dominated field. Sexism within nerd groups exists. It's a real thing. They mocked me and told me I should go back to do something with kids, like normal women do. I was quite a female presenting, with mini skirts and nails, and they had a lot to say about that. I got even more depressed, which made it impossible for me to get out of bed, but then the pandemic hit. I know it's inappropriate to say that, but it was a blessing in disguise. I didn't have to leave my bed to go to university and study. Furthermore, I could do the right thing and be alright. But my imposter syndrome kicked in again. I had zero confidence in myself. When the exam season came around, I had so much anxiety that I never went or wrote one. It's not that I don't get it. I'm simply too scared to fail and prove everyone right. At this point, I didn't want to study anymore, but everyone around me was so proud and told everyone that I'm gonna be in physics. I'm a Desi, and it's quite important in our culture to not embarrass your family and to not be a bad example for everyone who comes after you. Academics were really important in our house, and saving your face too. I didn't want to make people talk and call me stupid. It's enough if I do it all the time, and my classmates too. But everyone starts to notice and ask me why I'm still on my bachelor's degree, so I started to lie that I'm in my master's, which put me into way more complicated situations. I'm not stupid, I know that. I've become so depressed that life doesn't function anymore. And if anyone is wondering why I don't get help, I do. I have weekly therapy sessions for years. But every time I climb out of the darkness, something hits me and I fall back. I'm actually quite endangered because of everything, you know what I mean? I started to have the mentality that I would rather drop dead than explain anything to anyone. Not only that, but I'm too deep into this lie. I can't back out and tell people the truth. I wouldn't go to my courses, because I was embarrassed that I'm still sitting in all of them with these 17-year-olds, and having the professors looking at me in disgust is something that I can't handle in general. They didn't like me in the first place because I'm an immigrant, didn't do my best, wasn't smart enough to understand mathematics like that, and what I felt the most because I'm a woman and in a field that is not conventionally picked by women. Since I was a child, I always wanted to end up in science or ingenuity. I wanted to inspire little girls to follow their interests like I had at the beginning. It's probably quite like Barbie, but I always wanted to tell the girls that everything is possible and that you shouldn't be limited by gender expectations that have been put on you. I always lived my life like that, from climbing up the trees with the boys to playing American football all my teenage years. It's not that I thought that I'm something special, or not like the other girls. Because I am, I developed at a very young age. My understanding of feminism has evolved since then, but I could have never accepted being defeated by a guy's field. And on a different note, by myself. Anyways, my confession is that I never got 1 credit point in my 6 years of being in university. I don't want sympathy or something. I'm completely aware of the fact that my personal actions, or lack of, got me into this situation. I just wanted to get it off my chest, just once. Just tell someone, because it has been nearly 6 years and I couldn't tell anyone, not even my therapist.